Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Lukener certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.
So these guys now will be waiting. 15-second board will go up. 15-second board will count down. 5-second board will be shown. This gate will drop and away we go for the first race. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure your teacups are full, your beer glasses are full. We have a 30 minutes plus 2 laps of pure excitement for you. So, as we wait for the 5-second board. So here we go then for the first race of the 29 season. About to get out of the way, and away we go as we look away down the start straight, and it looks as though it's Davy Sanders, the number 9. Arne Dirkin slots in at 2nd place. Daniel Williamson's there in 3rd place. Varric there is the number 7, the first British crew. Daniel Williamson goes through. As you can see at the back here, there's mass pile-up of drivers. Gert van Werven there I can see. Young Jake Brown unfortunately is there. Heinzer is only just through. So in the lead, the number 9, Davy Sanders, Larry Kunas, Arne Dirkins, the number 10 in behind him. Daniel Williamson in 3rd. 4th place then is the first Brit, the first left-hand side car of Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain as they peel through. George Kinge goes through there in number 23. Back out to the leaders, Davy Sanders, Larry Kunas into this tight little left-hander, powers back away towards the far end of the circuit. As you see, picking his way around slowly, trying to get the right line, keep the momentum driving forward on this opening lap of this first race as he goes away to the bottom end by the beer tent, around the beer tent turn. So Arne Dirkins in 2nd place. 3rd place is Daniel Williamson. 4th place, Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain. Cracking start for them as they come down past the Mechanican area and get the pit boards for the first time. Looking at Bax, Bax is there in 5th place. Varric in 6th. Looks as though that's Christoph Sandsmans is in there as well as your top 5. And Bax goes through for the inside line, but Brown manages to keep the power on. But Bax will have the line into this next left-hand turn as they drop down in. No, Brown shuts the door, but Bax has the inside line. Sandsmans moves through on Varric. Bax is now through and are going to hunt down Daniel Williamson. Brown there. So Bax through into 4th place. Brown there. Varric is also in there in the hunt. Say this is the first full lap of these boys. So Arne Dirkins, Daniel Williamson, Etienne Bax, Stuart Brown as they fly down through these jumps towards the bottom end of the circuit. Davy Sanders has opened up maybe a 1.5-second gap. I will check on my timings just to see where we are at with the timings. If you would just bear with me. Daniel Williamson there. As I say, yesterday in the qualification race seemed to be a little annoyed with Luke. I don't know exactly, but hopefully everything is sorted. Stuart Brown goes through. Varric then goes through. Sandsmans is the next. Looks as though that was Marvin van Lukener there. So Marvin van Lukener has a lot of work to do, so looks as though he may be down just inside the top 10 as we look at Arne Dirkins. Robbie Bax in the chair. Of course, Robbie rode last year with Daniel. This year changed with Arne. Arne is just back from a massive injury that he sustained in the Des Nations. It's good to see him back on the track. As you see now, Daniel Williamson coming under pressure from Etienne Bax. The 2 right-hand sidecars, fairly difficult. Quick look over the shoulder of Williamson just to see who it was. Brown is still in there with the shout. Varric goes through. Any one of these makes a mistake, and Etienne Bax makes the slight mistake up that climb as they come across the start-finish line. As the numbers go across the bottom of the board, Bax 4, 5 is Brown, 6 is Varric, 7th is Sandsmans, 8 Van Lukener, 9 is Giro, 10, Compilati, the Italian, good ride there. Kinge is 11th. Veldman is through into 12th. Horrocks 14, 15, Van Lagerback, Kopp 16, 17, the lady driver, Kelly Van de Bruin. Fantastic ride, as again, Bax pressurising. Varick tries the outside line around. Brown doesn't quite make it stick this time. So as they go down towards the far end of the circuit into the first turn, Arne Deakins from Daniel Williamson shaking his head there. Something he's not happy, but hey, you have to make do with what you have, I'm afraid, Mr. Williamson. Davy Sanders looks fairly comfortable out there in front at the moment. Has got a lead from Arne Deakins. Daniel Williamson still coming under pressure from Etienne Bax and Casper Stupoulis. 4th is Brown, 5th is Brown, 6th is Varick, still there with a shout as you see them drop over this little hip jump on the corner. Brown comes through there, Varick there with pressure. Santemans is in there. There is Van Lukenen just through the screen, and it looked as though that was possibly Veldman. So Deakins, Williamson, Bax all in the same shot there as they come back, work their way around towards the back of the beer tent here. You can see these holes are still becoming very large. Looks as though Bax has dropped off a little bit from Williamson. So whether he made a little mistake, and looks as though, yes, looks as though Bax is gone. I'm not sure what's happened to Bax, but I'm pretty sure. So Arne Deakins in 2nd, Williamson in 3rd, 4th now Brown, 5 is now Varick. So something must have happened to Bax. I'm not sure, as you see there, Williamson, the chair wheel pop up over that jump. He is not a happy bunny, bless him. So as soon as I can find out what has happened to Bax, as we go away down past the VIP tent, Arne Deakins, Daniel Williamson, Stuart Brown, Kurt Varick, the tall Estonian, is in there. So I will try and see where Bax is as Williamson tries to make another chance or another spot for take Arne Deakins' spot. As you can see, the passengers get filled in with this sand. That's why I say they have to have these roll-offs or something. Normally, sometimes the drivers' goggles get bashed or break, and the passengers have to pass their, or don't have to pass, normally pass their goggles through. So, Davy Sanders with a couple of seconds gap now between Arne Deakins, coming under pressure from 10 times multi-champion Daniel Williamson. Stuart Brown still in there, looking fairly comfortable. Varick is in there in 4th place, looking very comfortable. As we look there at Santemans through. Santemans then, Bax has dropped to 7th, so he's there just in front of Marvin Van Lukenen. 9th is Giro, goes through. Veldman is up to 10th. 2nd row start for Veldman, so that's going well. As we see Stuart Brown, the Macclesfield flyer, with young Josh Chamberlain in the chair. 15 times British champion, 16 times I think British champion. Lost his title unfortunately this year, or last year, to Brett Wilkinson, hoping to regain it. Back with Josh Chamberlain in the chair this year. So as we look, Veldman now as coming up towards the back of Santemans. So I don't know, I cannot see Bax there anywhere. So perhaps, as you can see, Marvin Van Lukenen there, the tail that's flying behind him is his goggles. He's taken a roost from the sand. He's trying to clear his vision. So it's Giro, in fact, that is in behind Marvin Van Lukenen. The Frenchman is riding well. So Marvin Van Lukenen, Ben van der Bogart there, as they drop away towards the far end. So Santemans, Veldman trying to go round the outside. Marvin Van Lukenen, Davy Sanders there in shot. That's maybe a good 4 or 5 seconds. Arne Deakins trying to get that bike to go forward. Perhaps he's slightly holding up Williamson and Rostink there. Brown then is trying to attach to the shirt tails of these two crews in front of him. Arne Deerkins driving as hard as he possibly can. Kurt Varick is coming into the back of Brown now, trying. So 4 riders there inside the top 6. We have 20 minutes gone of this race, 30-minute race plus 2 laps, so we have still a long way to go. I'm keeping my eye on to see where Bax is, and of course last year he had problems. Last year he broke his collarbone in Oss last year. Hopefully everything is okay and it's only a mechanical. Just into the picture, so Herman's there, quite a way down as they go away to the far end of the circuit. These are the riders. There's Kelly De Bruyne, the female driver, the 94, the second only female to qualify for a Grand Prix. If she can score points as well, that will be an absolute amazing feat for this young lady. She rode yesterday absolutely amazing, so we hope and wish that she can keep going. So as we look back on the screen, there she is there. She drops into this left-hander. The passenger working hard, Jens Mans is the young passenger in with her this weekend, and in behind them is Hermans. So Herman's either got stuck in these early stages or had a problem somewhere. Frank Mulders, the number 72 machine, had a cracking gate in his qualifying race yesterday. He's coming under pressure from Koen Hermans as they drop back down towards the back end of the beer tent. And Hermans is just in front of now of Mulders as they go down past. And looks as though here, as we clip back to Stuart Brown, Brown trying to make the pass on Arne Deerkins and does so, but Veldman now takes the advantage and goes round the outside of Arne Deerkins. So Deerkins has lost 2 places there, and Veldman goes around the outside of Brown. Now Veldman started from the second row, had to go to last chance yesterday, so this is a cracking ride from the tall, lanky youngster. Brown there, the veteran at 44, one of the oldest drivers in the championship, has made the pass and is fighting his way up through this leaderboard. So Stuart Brown has got to collect his thoughts, trying to hang on to the back of Julian Veldman, the tall, lanky Dutchman, 6'7", 190 odd centimetres tall. Works to his advantage in this deep sand. Sandsman's there, 16 goes through. Looks as though that's Valentin Giraud also there. So Veldman on the WHT Mega machine, the 2-stroke Mega this year, rode the AMS 4 strokes all of last season, so this year switched to the Mega engine. Seems to be riding very well, seems to be liking the 2-stroke. As we see the battle here, Arne Deerkins and Marvin van Leeuwen through, tries the inside line, it down into the beer tent and makes that pass stick. He will get the inside line for this right-hander. Arne Deerkins then possibly struggling, say not had much bike time this year, so possibly struggling a little bit with those opening first few quick laps. As you see, Marvin van Leeuwen, Arne Deerkins, Kurt Varick there in shot. So Davy Sanders is still in the lead, but by the looks of it, Williamson is on his back. Veldman's up in the 3rd, Brown is 4th, Van Leeuwen 5, Deerkins now 6, 7th is Varick, 8th is Sansemans, 9th is the Frenchman Giraud, and 10th is George Kinge, the Englishman. Cracking ride for George Kinge then, the young Englishman with Lewis Gray on the chair this year. The second of, and we have, go back there, sorry I missed that. So Davy Sanders has lost the lead to Daniel Williamson. So whether there was a mistake made and Daniel pounced, so can now Daniel gather, settle himself down, settle his passenger down, give some confidence back to carry on with 16 minutes gone in this race. So trying to open up a gap between him and Davy Sanders. as he drops down towards the far end of the circuit. As you can see him picking the front wheel up, trying to make it light over some of these big holes. Davy Sanders there in second place, the number 9. Larry Kunas in the chair, working hard through these big holes. So Veldman there in third is certainly making some progress. Stuart Brown then goes through. Marvin van Leukenen was next there in your picture. So whether there was a mistake by Davy Sanders, I didn't see it on camera. Perhaps we can find the pass and show it to you. Davy Sanders, the youngster, working hard there. Larry Kunas, brilliant passenger, youngster, only his third, fourth full season in Grand Prix. Managed to ride with Etienne Bax 1 year in the Nations, and certainly didn't let himself down. He made a good job. So we have Williamson through, Davy Sanders goes through, and look at Veldman. Veldman now has got the shirt tails of Davy Sanders to chase as they drop over these couple of jumps. There is maybe not a second in it. Certainly now Veldman will try and make a move as he tries to the outside line. Couldn't quite get the power on as they go down past the VIP tent into this bottom turn. Veldman has the speed now as he tries, just drops into the different slots so he doesn't get stuck. As they come back down towards the bottom end of the circuit again, just slots in behind Davy Sanders. Awaits to pounce, goes to the outside. Will he try and make this hit? Tries to go round the outside. Not quite, but he's got the line. Yes, makes that move stick. That was an incredible move around the outside before you come down the start straight. So Veldman from a second row start now up into second place. Can he hunt down the 10 times world champion Daniel Williamson to take a win from the second row? That will be a formidable feat. So I will keep my stopwatch on the gap of this pairing to see if he can hunt down Williamson. Hopefully he can keep this machine going. Young Glenn Janssens there in the chair did a fantastic job stepping in last year for the injured Sibe van der Putten, who unfortunately injured himself, if I remember right, in Castello. As we look there at Marvin van Leukenen goes through the picture. So Veldman gapped now. Davy Sanders has got a good cushion between him and Sanders in third, who has then got a good couple of seconds gap between him and the next riders. As you see, working hard. Larry in the chair there, working hard to keep that sidecar from dropping up. As soon as that sidecar just comes up off the floor, it makes it difficult for the driver to get the power down, and especially in this sand, it makes everything even harder. So we keep watching Davy Sanders. Veldman then goes through shot. Davy Sanders is the next man through. Then Marvin van Leukenen is through. We've seen whether we've lost Stuart Brown or not, I do not know. There is a 4.2 second gap between Williamson and Veldman. 0.803 to Davy Sanders. 4 is now Marvin van Leukenen. So whether we have lost Stuart Brown or not, I don't know. Whether we've made a mistake, I will keep my eye on the times as Sanders goes through. Marvin van Leukenen goes through. So I think we may have lost Stuart Brown somewhere, unfortunately. Davy Sanders then, as you can see the gap coming down between him. So Brown has made a mistake and dropped to 9th. Kinge now, good ride for him, up to 8th as the 2018 world champion then. Marvin van Leukenen trying to make some headway towards Davy Sanders. As we saw earlier on, those Ethan goggles of his seem to have a malfunction. So whether he has managed to solve that and has a reasonable clear view as they go down towards the bottom end of the circuit. In the background I can hear the commentator getting quite vocal. So yes, Van Leukenen goes around the outside again, the same as Veldman did in earlier. So Davy Sanders then is perhaps feeling the pressure a little bit with 11 minutes gone in this, or 11 minutes to go in this race. So Van Lukenen then through into that next spot, takes it away from Davy Sanders. As I say, possibly the pace was slightly too hot for him and has just dropped off the pace. I'm keep an eye on him as he will now try and grab hold of the shirt tails of Veldman in front. Sanders then is now dropped to 4th. 5th, according, is Giraud. 6th is Arne Dirkin. 7th is Santemans. Kinge there in a good ride in 8th. Brown then has dropped to 9th. Varric then has dropped to 10th. Coots, the Swiss pairing there in 11th. Copps, good ride for him in 12th. Compolati, Italian, in 13th. As we look at Davy Sanders working hard as they go, came past the board there, as you see, 10 minutes to go, and gives him his position and who is behind. As they come up over this crest, down towards the start-finish line again. So 9 minutes to go in this race. As you can see, the field is rather spread out as he goes away from us towards, and there's a Ian Copps who's unfortunately gone upside down somewhere in there. Trying to dig that bike out of that big hole. So he's had a problem there somewhere. So you can see the marshal getting everybody, and you can see how difficult it is to get these machines out of these holes. Once they are buried in there, they are just a nightmare. So we go back to the 2018 world champion, Marvin van Lukenen and Ben van der Bogart, working hard in 3rd position now to try and finish this race safe as they come down towards the back end of the circuit, right down towards the far end away from us, as we look again, trying to keep this front wheel light out of a lot of these holes on the faces of these jumps, trying to pick his line as he comes down into the bottom corner here, comes back under. Veldman there just drops through that hole. I think that was Copps just gone through the picture who has got going in. Davy Sanders just comes back in the picture. So we're back with the leader then, Daniel Williamson. 4th, Daniel Williamson there. Of course, raced for many years in the sand, loves the sand, knows the sand inside out, and especially here in this deep Belgian sand we have here in Lommel today. Luc Rostink, the Frenchman, of course, normally used to the hard packs of France. He's making a good effort here. That must be very difficult to step into some fantastic shoes that Daniel has ridden with. So 5 seconds there, you see the board between himself and Julian Veldman. So 7 minutes of this race to go. Will Veldman be able to find 5 seconds? It doesn't seem a lot, but here is a massive gap to try and bridge. But you only need to make just that slight mistake as he drops back into the far end of the circuit into these holes. There is Veldman. Veldman is visually closer now towards the multi-world champion, and we've got some back markers. Now this could play into the hands of Veldman. Unfortunately, if Daniel makes a mistake, picks the wrong line, or the back markers don't realise he's coming through, could be interesting as we come back to these back markers now. One moves out the way. I can't see who that other back marker is. Hopefully he can get out the way. There, Veldman now through. As we look back towards Marvin van Lukenen in 3rd place. Having a very good ride. Ben van der Bogart, just a little glance across his shoulder just to see where we are at and who is there behind him. As we look back towards Marvin van Lukenen and some of the back markers coming into view there. So now Veldman, it's all for him to play for. Sanders in 4th, Giraud, good ride for him in 5th. 6th is still Dirkin, 7th then is Santemans, 8th is Varric. Kinge is there in 9th, Brown is there still in 10th. Coops, the Swiss pairing there in 11th. backs and stupids. We've not seen a lot of them since earlier on in 12th place. So as we watch some of these back markers come through, can't quite visualise, see the numbers. I think that might be the young Englishman riding the right-hand chair, young Dan Foden, I'm not quite sure, you have to forgive me. As we look at Marvin van Leukenen, just one of the back markers trying to unlap himself to go towards the back end of the beer tent, trying to work his way through these back markers. It's very difficult when you come upon these drivers to try and get out of the way, because you really don't want to hold some of these boys up. So as they go away for their next lap, so on the screen 1.8 seconds between Williamson and Veldman. So Veldman has now got Williamson in his sight and can smell his aftershave as he chases him down to see if he can get the win. And there you are. They are that close and looks as though Veldman has tried the inside. Backs out of that slightly, perhaps will sit behind Williamson just to see some of the lines that Williamson is using, getting his head ready to make a pounce. Williamson just gaps him there. Slight mistake then from Veldman as they come into the first turn there, into this left-hander. So they drop away towards the far end of the circuit. Williamson now back with a good half a second gap. As you can see, the flags waving there for Veldman. The youngster had a cracking year last year. Can he beat the Sandmeister, the multi-world champion that is Daniel Williamson? Williamson will throw every trick in the book at Veldman to try and hold on to this position for 4 minutes. So we possibly have only 6 or 8 minutes of racing to go. In my reckoning, that's possibly only 4 laps, if that. So Williamson there on screen. Luke Rosting trying to pick his way around his sidecar there, upside down, unfortunately. Hope they are okay. Veldman now has closed the gap again as they drop around the far end of the circuit back towards the back of the beer tent. You see Rosting working hard to try and keep that chair down. Daniel just cross-rutting the rear wheel back from the front as he powers away to the back of the beer tent turn. So this time I would imagine they will get maybe 2 minutes. So back through the pit area, there you go, 4 minutes. Veldman there has possibly made a couple of mistakes. Oh, there you see again Daniel gesticulating to Luke. It must be so difficult for Luke, trying to concentrate on what he's doing, trying not to make a mistake, and trying to hang on to this machine while it's bucking and bucking underneath you is an absolute hard work. So fair play. There you see Veldman then just dropped off the pace a little bit. It's been a long race, very long race in this heat. As I said earlier, we are in possibly 20 degrees heat for these riders with all this kit on and the sand. It is an absolute brutal, and you can see there the battering that Luke gets, trying to hang on that to machine, trying to make sure he doesn't drop through the front, drops back in behind Daniel just to try and get a breather there. You can see breathing hard underneath that helmet as they drop away, his knees bent, just trying to absorb all those bumps and ruts to try and get this machine through to the finish. So just over a minute. I would imagine he will get to the 2-lap board this time. So Williamson of old, showing his true fighting spirit, the true champion of this sport, as we go back there to see Davy Sanders coming under pressure from the Frenchman Valentin Giraud, with the German Andres Haller in the chair, trying to gain another spot. Davy Sanders trying to hold everything off. You see Valentin trying to clear his goggles, so whether he has used all his roll-offs yet, I do not know, but they go towards the far end of the circuit. Valentin Giraud Again, another riding the Mega 2-stroke this year, was on the big 4 strokes. Of course, had a few problems this year in pre-season with Johnny Badair, the young Frenchman that stepped in last year with him, had an injury. We wish him a speedy recovery. But Andres Haller, the German, is doing a fantastic job in that sidecar to keep this machine upright as they go down towards the far end of the circuit behind the beer tent. Davy Sanders trying to keep this machine moving forward. As you see there, Valentin just trying another line, gets it stuck, but goes through the inside. Oh, and he hits a hole on landing, and it stops them dead. Manages to keep the machine going. A pair of them managed to stay on the bike also. So you see Valentin there trying the inside line, made a slight mistake on landing, which is unfortunate. So I reckon this time round they should have the 2-lap board, but maybe they missed it. So Velman tries the inside of Williamson, manages to get the inside line and takes the lead. So that's fantastic for Veldman then. Goes to the lead, started on the second row of the grid, behind everybody else, now through into first place. 2 laps to go. So can this youngster keep his head, keep this machine on 3 wheels for another 2 laps? What a fantastic ride from the young Dutchman. Showed full potential last year towards the end of the Grand Prix. Some fantastic races, some brilliant podiums. Can he open his 2019 season with a win? Will be a fantastic job by the youngster and the young Glenn Janssens in the chair. Williamson there now will possibly just settle for second place, just to gain some points. Try and protect young Luke to bring him home there. So we look at the leader as the crowd over the fence cheering this youngster, just turned 18 or just 19 now, has shown fantastic potential for the future. If he can stay fit, or this pairing can stay fit, the machinery can stay running, I think there is a good chance to see this pairing on the podium for best part of this year. As we look at Etienne Bax, way down in the field, made a mistake early on in the proceedings, so up to 6th place according to the list across the bottom. So as we look there, as these riders come through, brutal 30 minutes plus 2 laps, an absolute monumental feat for these guys to do this. As we look at some of the tail enders coming through, there's Stuart Brown just going through, made a mistake earlier on. There's George Kinge, fantastic ride for him. As we look at Julian Veldman, so as he drops up over there, just picks the front up. As you can see, it helps being this tall frame that he has. He's able to pick this machine up, just picks it up as though it's a pit bike. So 1 lap to go for the youngster. Keep your head, young man. Keep out of trouble. Hope this machine stays running for another 2 minutes as they go down to the far end of the circuit for the last time. The flags flying, the spectators over the fence, urging these riders on towards the finish. Coming past one of the back markers, Heinzer. Again, had a fantastic ride yesterday. He drops to the inside as they come back down towards the far end of the circuit. As you can see, the spectators hanging over the fence. Copse again turns turtle. Hopefully it's out of the line, or one of the major lines that these drivers will lose. As you can see, backs go through the foreground there. As we look at Veldman, then, Julian Veldman, Glenn Janssens on the WHT Mega engined machine, comes through for the opening race of the 2019 FIM World Sidecarcross Championships to take the win been a fantastic ride from this youngster as he comes down towards the back end of the beer tent, just letting some of these back markers sort themselves out. The last thing you want to do 2 corners from the end is make the mistake and get stuck. So he comes down towards the penultimate turn, around this turn, up the climb then to take the checkered flag for the young Dutchman. There we have Veldman through. Sorry, we have one more lap. I was getting overexcited there, I'm so sorry. So, the final lap, the last 2 minutes of this race. So, as we look at the leaders coming through then, back on screen, I can hear the commentator in the background. Sounds as though Marvin van Leukenen is pressurising Williamson. Hopefully we can see a shot of that at the moment. But the youngster on screen, deservedly winning this race. Opening race of the 2019 World FIM Championship for sidecars. As I say, yesterday he made the mistake whilst leading in qualifying. He made the mistake and unfortunately couldn't get the machine started, so had to go to the last chance. So he was on the second row of the grid. This is an absolute phenomenal ride from the youngster. As he quick glance across there, just listening out, making sure everything is okay, trying to pick every single line, trying to pick the lines correctly for Glenn, so that Glenn knows where he is going. As we look back down towards the towards the VIP tent there, possibly for the second place. But as we look back on to the screen at Resna, the Estonian going through with the young Frenchman Alexander Tourbière in the chair, his first ever Grand Prix, I think. The youngster has done well. So as we wait here for Julian Veldman then, 4 or 5 more turns of the first race of this 29 championship to go. As he comes down towards the back end of the beer tent, I can hear the horns going in the background as he picks his way through a couple of stricken riders. So Julian Veldman, Glenn Janssens then, one more turn as they come up this last climb, drop down the other side to take the first race. Honours then go to Julian Veldman and Glenn Janssens for the opening race of the 2019 season. Fantastic ride from this youngster from the second row of the grid. That's an amazing ride. Well done, young man, and may more come. As we look back at the screen then to see who takes second. Williamson then takes second. Van Leukenen then takes the third spot. So that's your 1, 2, 3. Veldman, Williamson, Van Leukenen. As we wait for the rest of the riders to come through the finishing line here. As you can see, these riders are very spaced out. There is a lot of gap between these riders, the first 10 or 15 riders. So fourth then goes through Giraud and Andres Haller for 5th place. Fantastic ride for the Frenchman, not a lover of the sand, so good points for him. Bax then takes 6th place. Disappointing then for Bax. Hermans then, another disappointing ride for him perhaps, goes through. Should then be in 7th. So we are going then to Jever with the winner, Veldman.
Hi guys, race 1 is over. What an incredible race, guys. Unbelievable. You fought your way and you got past Willemsen at the end. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. We had a really bad start. The crash with Hermans, and yeah, we nearly got last, and halfway the race we got see Willemsen, and then yeah, we followed him, see his line, and then we passed him.
So first race of the year, great result for the first. How are you gonna go for the second?
Yeah, second race will be again on the second row. So it will be a fun race. Hopefully it's like this one. We can make it to a good end.
Well, congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Back to you, Steve.
So thank you, Jeva, there with the winner, Julian Veldman, Glenn Janssens. What a fantastic ride for the youngster. An absolutely phenomenal ride. Hopefully he can do the same again in the second race. Hopefully he's not taken too much out of him and he can go back now and prepare himself for the second race. Stuart Brown just goes through then in 12th, Kinge there in 13th, good ride for the youngster there. Kubins 14, Moulders 15, 16th for Yannick. So please stay with us, we have another race to come which kicks off at 4 o'clock. So please stay tuned with us. We hope you enjoyed that live with us and that you can join us again for the second race. We hope you enjoyed everything. Please stay with us. If you want to get in touch with me, I am on Instagram. It's Sidecarcross MX64. Please do get in touch with me on Instagram. If you have any questions, I will try and answer them for you. If there's anything that you would like to see from us, then please do not hesitate to get in contact. So as you see, the last few of these riders come through. It's been a very exhausting race, as I said earlier, 20 degrees plus I expect. 8th here today. So I will try and give you as much information as I can. As you can see, all the spectators now coming, streaming back away from their vantage points. Looks as though that's down the bottom end of the circuit. Go and look around the paddock, have a chat with people and get themselves ready and sorted for the next race. As I say, I'm on Instagram. Please take a photo of where you are. If it's with a nice cold beer, sat in the lounge, sat in the garden with your friends watching this, please send me a photo. I will have a look at it and please do feel free to get in contact with us. We enjoy your comments and we are thankful for your comments and thank you for watching. So your classification for race 1, fantastic winner, Julian Veldman, Glenn Janssens then, Daniel Williamson, Luke Rosting 2, Marvin van Luken and Ben van der Bogart for 3, 4 was Davy Sanders, Larry Kunis, 5 Valentin Giraud, Andreas Haller, 6 for Etienne Bax, Casper Stupilis, 7 Koen Hermans, Nicholas Musset, 8 for Arne Dirkins, Robbie Bax, 9th Kurt Varrick, Laurens Deders, and 10th was Christoph Santemans, Kostas Belakas. That is your top 10. As we drop over the page, 11th for Gert van Werven, Peter Bunk, 12th for Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain, 13th George Kinge, Lewis Gray, 14th Justin Kubin, Dion Rietman, 15th for Frank Moulders, Evia van der Wiel, 16th was Eddie Yannick, 17th was Tanel Reza and Alexander Tourbière, 18th was Christophe Maxime Couch. As we wait for the page to drop over for the top 20, hopefully. I wait to see where the young lady finished. Hope she finished with a point. I will have a look now for you. But that was your top 18. As I say, please stay with us. Stay tuned. We will be back with you shortly. So thanks very much and see you soon. Thank you.
Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Luken certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.